New Radio Sports Network and 105 on the GOAT. Head coach Mike Peck joining us after a big victory for the Vikings over the Pioneers. And coach, what was that message to your team as you ran to them, sprinted to the end zone, and shared a special moment after another big win?
I mean, it's just, the last couple of weeks have been kind of trying on the team. We've had, pretty much a lot of downs, and it was nice to finally get an up for our kids. And they worked hard this week. And, we just didn't know how, we threw a lot of stuff at the wall over the last 2 weeks, and we didn't know it was going to stick. And a couple things seemed to work out really well tonight. And so some of those things we'll probably continue to work with. Some other things we'll go back to the drawing board. There were some plays that we thought should have been home runs, and they did a good job of stopping them early in the game. So we were actually kind of baffled, midway through the first quarter. We were in a ball game, and then we got a couple good breaks, a couple onside kicks, a couple fumbles, and we kind of blew the game wide open, and then our kids just did the rest.
We talked to Harrison and Payton about it in particular, since they got a block for these changes, right? So I guess what kind of things did you see from really four different quarterbacks? Will Lisi obviously had a number of good carries out of that position, but Braden City, Becca Johnson threw a touchdown, Giovanni Mercier.
Yeah, the hardest part for those guys is knowing different cadences and when they can, one guy, snaps it just a hair sooner than the other guy. And so you saw a couple false start penalties and some of the things that we had go wrong. But, ultimately our kids, put their nose to the grindstone and came back even when we made some of those pre-snap penalties and errors. We were smart enough or at least game planned enough that we knew what we could do. And the kids got there and made some solid blocks. And then, our athletes kind of just made plays tonight.
How important was it for your team after you said some trying times over the last 2 weeks, 2 losses, just to get back into the win column, backs against the wall, and certainly now you got to be in the driver's seat now for a playoff spot after maybe being right on the fringe of will we or won't we?
Yeah, I think we, as far as the numbers go, as long as they do it the way we anticipate, we should be in. And we may not have the best draw in the world, but our kids got another week, and as long as we got a chance, that's all we can ask for.
Very good. And Coach, final thing here. Obviously, this is an emotional game. Certainly, you can see at times the emotions kind of ran hot as well. But at the end of the day, these are kids that know each other for a long time, and I'm sure it's still a good feeling for you, even though you're still relatively new to the rivalry, that come out of here with a victory.
Yeah, we kind of talked about it, pre-game about how it's a rivalry game, it's bragging rights, but you could see the kids, they weren't holding anything back out there. The biggest thing I can be most proud about my kids is I know we play the game the way we want to play it here at Gibraltar, and the fact that there were a couple 15-yard penalties. My kids' ones I didn't think were overly terrible. There was one that we had to coach it up. He just didn't know the rule, and so we cleaned that up. And there's the emotions are going to run high, and the fact that our kids kept them in check and didn't make any stupid plays, and everybody's still eligible next week's a huge win for us.
Well, Coach, we'll let you start preparing for, whoever. We'll find out Saturday morning. Thanks for joining us once again on the postgame show.
Sounds good, Tim. Thanks.
You're watching 105 on the GOAT and the New Radio Sports Network.